I'm Sashah Handal and I'm a trainer in New York City. This is Good Moves with Well+Good. Today I'm going to be taking you through a glute and lower body workout utilizing just a mini band. You could do this entire thing utilizing only your body weight, but if you add the band, I promise it will add a little bit of extra heat. We'll start by placing the band right around your knees. And your first 3 movements will actually be down on your mat with your back to the mat and your belly button to the floor. We'll be working through 10 moves, 45 seconds a piece, twice through. Let's get started. So once your back is on the mat, you'll want to make sure your heels are within reach of your fingertips, pushing tension through the heels of your foot and tension through the top of your back. As you push the floor away with the palms of your hands, you're going to push your hips up to the sky, keeping tension between the band and your knees. That's it. Move number 1, and we'll be here for 45 seconds. Let's go. I like to spend as minimal time tapping my butt to the ground and taking a second at the top just to really squeeze my glutes together. If you want to make this just a bit more challenging, you can take away your hands and reach them up to the sky. That way there's no extra support coming from the upper body. As I push my hips up, I'm squeezing my glutes together, pulling my belly button towards my spine, and exhaling through the effort. Good. We're only here for another 10 seconds. There's no need to rush. Time under tension is exactly what we're looking for. Let's go for 2 more. Good, last one. All right, shake it out. So move number 2 will be in addition to move number 1. So you'll continue with the hip thrust and we'll just add 3 abductions at the top, pulsing the knees out to the side, keeping your hips tight and lifted. Squeeze up, pulse out once, twice, 3 times, and return to the mat. Now, as you pulse out, the challenge here is to keep your glutes tight and your hips lifted as you push your knees out. As you push your knees out. There you go. Good. We've got about 20 seconds here. Continuing to breathe through your movement so you never have to stop to catch your breath. Good. The sides of your booty should be feeling nice and warm. Let's go for 1 more. All the way up, all the way out. 1, 2, and 3. Great job. So we'll move on to move number 3, which again is a continuation of move number 1. You'll come up into a bridge position. You'll extend 1 leg at a time, getting really strong through the glutes, but also getting full extension of that quad. You'll drop that leg down and you'll just alternate with that extension. Keeping your hips high and your leg as long as possible. Here I'm using my hands to push the floor away, and that just gives me a little bit of extra leverage when keeping my hips lifted. Again, if you want to make this more challenging, hands can come up to the sky, and then all of the work falls on your lower body and your core. Good. Let's go for 1 more on each side. Great. And shake it up. Okay, so we're going to change positions now. We're going to come to a quadruped position, meaning you're going to come to all 4s. Knees are directly underneath your hips, and hands are directly underneath your shoulders. We'll start by alternating your left and your right leg, and we'll go for 3 reps on each leg. This is just a simple kickback, kicking your leg back, extending through the heel, and then returning it back underneath your hip. Exhale as you extend. Inhale as you return. So it's 3 on the left, and then we'll alternate 3 on the right. So as I'm extending my leg out here, I'm also pressing firmly through the palms of my hand, keeping tension through my core as well as my glutes throughout the entire movement. Gorgeous. We breathe as we move, and we move with intention. Excellent. Just gonna finish up both sides for good measure and to avoid muscle imbalances. Cool. So we're gonna stay in our quadruped position. We're gonna make sure that our navel is pulled in and our back is slightly rounded to keep our abdominals activated. And then our next move is just going to be a hydrant. So we're gonna keep the knee bent and we're going to lift it up and out to the side of our hip. And we're gonna repeat that again 3 times on the right, alternating 3 times on the left. All right, let's hit it. Bring it up and out and drop it back down. Now, this is a bit of a complex movement, especially if you've got a pretty heavy resistance band around your legs. So what I want you to think about doing is pressing into the same hand as the leg that's going up and making sure that you're keeping tension on that oblique and utilizing your glutes to really lift that leg up to hip height. 3 on the left and then 3 on the right. I'm also keeping a flexed foot because that ensures that I'm getting into my glute as opposed to my quad. All right, last couple on the left. Okay, I'm feeling warm. Next move, we're gonna go right into a hamstring curl. So this is kind of a combination of a move you've already seen with a little bit of an extra spicy addition. So you'll kick your leg back, and from here, we'll pull the heel in towards your glute, extend it back, and then pull it in again. So this is just your hamstring curl. We'll go 3 on the right, and then we'll go 3 on the left. Let's go. Kick it back to start. Keep that knee at about hip height. Draw your heel in, control it out, and then repeat another 2 times. Again, I'm pressing firmly through the palms of my hands so that I can not only keep tension in my glutes, but also in my core, because that's what's helping me stay lifted here. Good. We got about 15 seconds. And again, the idea is not to rush through these movements, rather taking them slow, moving with control, and always moving with intention. All right, we've got time for one more set. Good? All right. If your wrists are starting to bother you, of course, take it up, maybe shake them out. You can push them away, give them a little stretch, okay? This will be our last movement on all fours, and this is called the donkey kick. You can, of course, reposition your band if it's starting to move on you. Press firmly down into the floor. We'll start by kicking one leg up to the sky as if you could put your footprint on the ceiling, and then we'll just kick from there. So we'll kick up once, kick up twice, kick up 3 times, and then do the same thing on the other leg. Let's get it. Bring it up, and then release. So all of these movements are really, really great at isolating just the glutes. Oftentimes when you're doing lower body work, it tends to be pretty quad dominant, but you add this resistance band and you do these glute isolation movements, and your butt will thank you for it. Good. Amazing, we have 10 more seconds. Let's try to get a little bit higher here. Good. Last side. 1, 2, and 3. So good. Shake it out. So from this point, we're gonna come to our feet. And The trick with these next moves is actually keeping your band in place. So I like to put it directly on top of my knees, just because it seems to move the least amount in that position, but it also provides the most resistance to the outer booty, which is exactly what I'm trying to work in this next move. We're gonna hit a curtsy lunge, dropping down into that curtsy, and then stepping directly into a squat, alternating your curtsy lunges in between. Let's go. Step back, sit down, step in, squat down. That's it. Now, if your band starts to move on you, that's okay. Bands move. You can also readjust whenever you need to. So I'm keeping my toes slightly pointed out in my squat, pushing my knees out and bringing my hips down to hip height. In the curtsy lunge, I'm stepping back and out, making sure my front knee does not pass my front toes. Good. I also like to bring my hands up to counterbalance. You can do the same. Good. We have time for one more on each leg. One squat, squeeze at the top, one curtsy, and you're done. Great. So from here, we're gonna do a little unilateral work. What does that mean? That just means we're gonna target one leg at a time. So I'm gonna slip my band off, and we're only gonna change the placement for this specific movement. I'm gonna place it directly underneath the ball of my foot, feeling the tension on it here, and then holding the opposite end of the band with the opposite hand as this foot. All right, so this is a bit of a combination move. It's called a single leg RDL, or Russian deadlift, into a back lunge. Tip forward, keep the abs braced, and keep that knee slightly bent. Chest is lifted as you lunge back, and both knees hit that 90-degree angle. Good. This is a bit of a challenge here, especially when you've got this resistance band. So the idea here is to stabilize and move as slowly as possible. Good. We're beyond halfway. Chin up, chest up, abs braced. Good, let's go for one more combo here, and then we'll switch legs. Okay, you're done. We'll switch sides. Again, putting it just underneath the ball of your foot so that it's secure. Lifting up, tucking the tailbone, squeezing the abs, rolling the shoulder blades back so that your posture is primed and ready for your movement. From here, we'll just tip forward and then we'll lunge backwards. Okay, let's go. I have a soft bend in this front knee here, just to ensure that I'm really getting into my glute and my hamstring. And I'm extending that back leg to add a bit of instability to the movement. Sometimes I like to reach my opposite arm out. That helps me counterbalance. Good. And you want to ensure that you're driving through the heel of the working leg. Amazing. One more. Last lunge. Done. All right, so that was round one, and now we're gonna do it a second time around, a little bit better, a little bit faster, and a little bit stronger. So the band returns to your knees, and you will return to the mat with your belly up and your back down. Since we've been here before, we're gonna start to move through these sets just a little bit more powerfully. Driving up for your hip thrust, squeezing really tight at the top, and then dropping back down for just a second. All right, round two on deck, let's go. Big exhale as you drive, and a quick inhale as you drop. Good. So as you can see, I'm gonna take these movements just a little bit quicker. Still keeping my heels within reach of my fingertips. Still using my hands to push the floor away if necessary. And if you're feeling really, really strong, hands can come up to the sky. Just make sure that your glutes and your abs are taking a really tight squeeze at the top of this movement. Good. We've got just 8 more seconds. That's time for at least 5 more squeezes. Hips up, glutes tight, repeat. Good. Last one. All right, 15 seconds to shake it out. So we're moving on to the 3 pulse abduction, keeping the hip thrust as it is and just adding 3 pulses outwards. Let's go. Bring it up, pulse it out 3 times, drop it back down. So I really love hip thrust because many of us spend time seated either behind a desk, on a subway, in a car. I ride my bike a lot, and so that keeps our hips in flexion for most of our day. And this is just an extremely great hip opener and glute strengthener so that we are able to get a double whammy with just one move. Now the pulse doesn't need to be super dramatic. It just needs to be big enough that you feel tension pulling between your band and your knees. All right, last one. Great. So this next movement will be the last one in our supinated position, so let's finish it strong. Bring it up high, and we're just gonna add that marching bridge, extending one leg at a time. Great. So what I like to do here is imagine that there's a straight line from my knees through my hips all the way to my shoulders. And if at ever I feel that my hips are falling out of that straight line, I can take a second to shake it out and then come back even stronger and taller for the next rep. It gets really difficult to maintain that alignment, especially when you take one of your points of contact away from the floor, as we're doing here in this marching bridge. So the hands down at the ground will assist you with that, but if you're feeling really confident with your position here, you can just take your hands up to the sky and build a little bit more heat. Excellent. Last kick out. Great. We're all done. Let's rotate over to our quadruped position. Back into our quadruped position, knees underneath your hips, hands underneath your shoulders, and we'll go for 3 kickbacks on the right and then 3 kickbacks on the left. Let's do it. So as I kick back, I make sure that the extension is coming through my entire leg and out through the base of my heel. My toes are pointed down so that I can keep a flexed foot and a really engaged glute. Always remembering to push firmly through the palms of your hands and keeping your abs really tight and braced. Good. Now sometimes the band tends to move, and that could just mean that there isn't enough tension between your knees and that band. So when starting in this position, ensure that your knees are about hip width, if not a little bit wider. All right, so maintaining in this position, giving your wrists a break if you need to. We're moving on to the hydrant lift, which in my personal opinion is the hardest movement of this entire set. And so you really want to generate power on the lift, and then allow yourself to fully rest on the release, repeating that 3 times on the right leg, and then 3 times on the left leg. I like to exhale as I lift that knee up to hip height, and really feel that squeeze as I get there. Abs are in tight, obliques are working as well as the glutes. Good, we've got about 10 more seconds. Let's go for one more round on this left side. And We're done. We're back in our quadruped position for just 2 more moves. This next movement will be our hamstring curl. So building on top of that kickback, kicking back to begin with, bringing your knee up to hip height and then curling your heel in, really getting into that hamstring. Good. So of course, first thing is to lift the leg, ensuring that it's up at hip height, and then you want to maintain it at hip height while you curl that leg in. If your band starts to move on you, that's okay. You can always readjust as you need to. I love this movement. It's really tough on the glutes, but it also starts to engage in those hamstrings, which are often neglected by us. Good. Last round on this left leg. Nice and high, nice and tight. All right, shake it out. I'm gonna readjust my band here. If whatever it's just moving too much, you can lock it down underneath your knees, and that should secure it a little bit better, but it'll also make the movement a bit harder because it provides more resistance from that position. All right, so our last movement on all fours will be a donkey kick, and that just brings us up to the sky 3 times, flat foot, braced abs, and then switch. 1, 2, 3. Now, unlike the hydrant, I want you to keep tension on this leg the entire 3 reps, and then I want you to return your knee down once you're done with those 3. So that just continues to build heat in the leg where it's already existing. Good. Pressing down firmly for another 20 seconds. Pulling in tightly for another 15. Good, so close. And you're done. Okay, good news. We're gonna come up to our feet now. Keeping the band exactly where it is, if not lowering it just below the knees here. Abs in tight, shoulder blades rolled back, and feet are just outside of your hips. So now that we're back up on our feet, feel free to readjust your band. You want to keep it wherever the most tension is felt. And so right now I'm going to bring it right to the middle of my thighs, keeping my legs pretty wide to ensure the tension stays there throughout the entire movement. We're doing an alternating curtsy lunge into our squat for 45 seconds. Let's go. Dropping back and down, squeezing nice and high, and then just repeating on the other side. Now you want to keep your chest lifted and your abs braced as you cycle through this combination of movements. And your hands, I like to bring them up to counterbalance. You can keep them at your hips. You can keep them up at your sides for a little bit more of a core challenge. Whatever feels most comfortable and successful for you. We've got less than 10 seconds here. We can hit this combo one more time. Drop it down, squeeze it up, and get your squat. That's it. All right, so we remove the band from our thighs, and we're ending with our unilateral movements, placing the band underneath your left foot, holding the opposite end with your right hand, checking in with your posture, tucking your tailbone, squeezing your abs, rolling the shoulder blades back. We'll start with that single leg deadlift, and we'll continue with that back lunge. Let's go. So sometimes it's best to find a focal point that's directly in front of you that you can keep your eyes on so that you can maintain stability not only in your posture, but in your gaze. Continue to flow through the movement and have the movement match your breath. So I'm inhaling here, exhaling, inhaling, and exhaling. Always exhaling through the effort. Good. We've got about 5 seconds or time for just one more. And now we can switch legs. All right. This is it. We've reached the last 45 seconds of our lower body workout. My glutes are feeling nice and fired up, and I hope yours are too. Final 45 seconds starts now. Again, the hand placement of the free arm is really contingent upon what you feel comfortable with. Sometimes I like to bring it out to my side. Sometimes I like to bring it to my hips to remind me to press them forward at the top of each one of these movements, but it's whatever suits your needs best. I want to make sure that you're pressing firmly through the heel of this bottom foot throughout both of these movements to ensure that your posterior chain stays active the whole time. Good. Let's hit that combo just one more time. Final lunge. Yay, we're all done. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Sashah Handal. This was Good Moves with Well+Good. And if you'd like to see more, please subscribe below.